Let's dive into the top 5 reasons why I love the Mavic Air 2. First on our list is the quality of shots. All of our footage turns out looking great, not because we have a list of secret manual settings that only professional content creators have access to, but because we double down on where this drone performs and we understand how to leverage it. Without getting caught up in the infamous exposure triangle, let's see what other factors that we use to consistently improve the quality of our work. With good lighting, I'm shooting in HDR mode. If you're unfamiliar with HDR, it stands for high dynamic range, and it's one of the most powerful components of this drone. Some of the best shots you've seen out there incorporate high dynamic range to bring out the deepest shadows of an image without overexposing the bright areas. This mode is used when there's a wide range of brightness in an image, allowing your drone to automatically boost the shadows and lower the highlights at the same time. It's an automatic mode, meaning the drone chooses the best settings automatically, and you're not allowed to adjust shutter speed, ISO, and color profile, which as a beginner, I'm pretty sure you weren't going to use anyway. We've used this mode to produce a wider range of colors and brighten images without compromising the quality of the shot. If you go to camera settings and click on video, you'll toggle to HDR mode and then choose 24 frames per second and you'll be ready to shoot. Let's talk about when to use it. So, the mode performs extremely well in contrasted scenes where some parts of the shot are pretty dark and other shots are maybe really bright. This typically happens when you're shooting directly into the sun and it's maybe at eye level just above the horizon. Lighting can also be difficult when the sun isn't bright enough to light your entire scene, but the clouds that it's hiding behind are extremely bright in comparison to the rest of your image. Now let's take a look at when you shouldn't use this. As I mentioned earlier, HDR mode is a completely automatic mode, meaning when you turn it on, you have no means of adjusting the settings. Sometimes this mode will find darker spots of your image and try to lighten them, which just results in overexposed parts of your shot, maybe another area that was bright already. It's the whites that are a little too white and you can't quite make out that object when it's overexposed. That brings me to my next finding, which is that HDR mode typically exposes at the maximum limit of brightness, so keep that in mind when you're shooting. In my opinion, the best time of day to shoot is right around golden hour, when the sun is in a position to give off a nice glow, but it's still high enough to light up the entire scene. These contrasting differences in lighting will do great with HDR mode because you'll capture the dark areas of the foreground and maybe the bright areas of the backdrop as the sun goes down, giving off a nice burst of light peeking out from over the horizon, meaning you'll be able to capture the best of both worlds. Over the last few months, Hunter and I have had the opportunity to shoot projects across the United States in Idaho, Napa Valley, Hawaii, Utah, Alabama Hills, just to name a few. Bringing the Inspire 2 with us on these shoots was no problem, but other projects have taken us to farther distances in Mexico, Costa Rica, Tanzania, Africa, which was a little bit more of a hassle with that bulky case. I've hauled the Inspire 2 case with me on long trips, and let me tell you, it's exhausting. Most of you traveling will be locally, and having a compact drone that you can rely on will be such a lifesaver. The foldable design of the Mavic Air 2 and the Mavic Air 2S will allow you to bring it pretty much anywhere in a small travel bag or even your back pocket when you're on the go. In unfamiliar locations, the built-in obstacle avoidance sensors that are on the top and bottom of the drone, the front and back of this drone, will continuously scan the environment in real time to detect and avoid objects in the flight path. This will come in handy when you least expect it, literally. When it comes to flight time on a drone this size, you're looking at an impressive 31 minutes. And for those of you wondering why you don't get 31 minutes, It's completely dependent on the weather and other varied flight conditions, so keep that in mind. Speaking of conditions, we were just shooting a project with this thing in high winds and thought the drone was about to fly away, wouldn't be able to handle it. Turns out it did awesome and it was stable enough to finish up the shoot, so it does have great stabilization in high winds. If you have a DJI Mini or a Mini 2, I'm sure you've had the occasional day where you felt like your drone was gonna drift away, but you'll be happy to know that with this upgrade, that will no longer be the case. Now, if you bring your drone everywhere like I do, there are some pretty cool new intelligent flight modes that will help you reach a new level of creativity. Features like Spotlight 2.0, Active Track Mode, and Master Shots, which will either supplement your flight or let the aircraft completely fly on its own. If you ever find yourself in a hard to reach place or you lose sight of your drone, the return to home feature is a lifesaver. I'm sure you've used it before, but I wanted to quickly mention that setting your return to home altitude before taking off will limit the risk of returning at a height that is lower than the tallest structure in your area. It's a great thing to add to your pre-flight checklist if there are buildings or obstacles right in your flight path that you may need to avoid on your trip back. And lastly, my favorite aspect of this drone is the price. The Mavic Air 2 is priced at $799, and the Air 2S is priced at $999. And of course, both drones give you the option to upgrade at checkout to the Fly More combo. This is a great way to get extra batteries, 3 of them in specific, extra accessories like ND filters, low noise propellers, a charging hub, and a carrying case, all for just $300 more. If you have this drone or you've been thinking about purchasing one, let me know in the comments what your favorite part about it is and what you plan on using it for.